Tales of Mithrym.
Den of Thieves, read by Skye Alley, Part 1. Random Encounter. Derval Anif sat by the stream, cleaning the blade of her hatchet. Her shoulder ached from a heavy bruising that was settling in, with the promise of a hard night's sleep ahead. Beside her, her two companions were busily shouting at one another. "It was practice!" Ducky roared as he sat cleaning his armor. The water of the stream babbled as the three of them worked busily to patch up their equipment and bind their wounds. The linen wrapped around Ducky's arm was already showing patches of fresh blood seeping through. "It was a bear!" shouted Elvin beside him. He was dressed in a long berry-red coat and had one arm wrapped in a fresh bandage. He checked his sword and resheathed it. He then began to look over their various supplies. The beast had ripped its way through several bags, spilling out various rations across the grass. Derval pocketed her small axe and joined Elvin in his work. Much of the sacking had to be used to bind their wounds, and there was not much left in the way of storage. Her heart fell as she realized that this was not much of an issue in and of itself, as there was precious little in the way of food that had been undamaged and not lost to the river. The two of them filled the one remaining bag with what little they could scavenge, then set about tearing the remaining linens and stowing them away for future use. As they worked, Ducky finished cleaning his armor and began buckling it back on again. The enormous man then stood straight and stretched, wincing as he did so from the pain in his arm. "I could do with something to numb the pain," he said. "Preferably served in pints." "We haven't passed an inn for at least the last 2 days, Derval sighed. "But we'd better find one by nightfall if we can. We've not got enough food to go more than about another day." Elvin looked over the three of them. "I'm not so much worried about food as about rest. I expect we could forage if it came to it, but I would not want to sleep out of doors with fresh blood calling out to any passing beast. That bear may not have lived alone. There could be another out looking for it, and I am sure it would not think twice about trying to make a meal of us." "Well, come on then," Derval said, shouldering the bag. "Off on the road again." The three of them made their way back to the path. The dry ground threw up dust with every step. "That was a quick bit of thinking back there, by the way," Elvin said to Derval as they walked along. "It would have worked better if Ducky hadn't barged into me." "Hey, I got the killin' blow, didn't I?" Ducky protested. "Only because I was distracting it," broke in Derval. "The important thing is that we stopped it," Elvin interjected. "Still, I would much rather have not faced it at all. It was going to go after our food," Ducky roared. "I had to do something. It was protection." "I thought it was practice," Derval said with a wink. Elvin laughed. "That too?" The big man smiled a broad smile. "Well, anyway, I will be very happy if we can find some proper beds for tonight," Elvin said as he strained his eyes to look further down the road. The track was broad now and beginning to slope downhill. With any luck, he would soon be able to make out where they were heading for. Just as the horizon began to dip, though, they all leapt to the side as the rattling of a large cart approached, as if from nowhere. The horse's hooves beat hard on the ground, and the driver cracked a whip as the cart rolled past. The man seemed to be in a great hurry to get wherever he was going. As it drew past them, though, the three could make out great piles of food on the back. Loaves of bread, baskets of fruits, and wheels of cheese were stacked carefully. Beside them, the sound of clinking bottles and wooden crates could be heard from under a heavy canvas. Derval's stomach turned as she looked at it all. Now, Elvin smiled. "No falling back on your old tricks." "Don't you trust me?" Derval winked. The cart sped off down the road. "Besides," she added, "even I can't jump on a cart going that fast." As the dust cleared, all three felt their spirits rise as down the road they could make out the shapes of buildings. Some way away, but well within an afternoon's march, they could make out a town, surrounded by a high stone wall and filled with narrow houses, with high, gabled roofs. Even from this distance, they could make out a busy movement of people within the streets. And then, background to it all, the sea. "Come on," Elvin said with a smile as he began heading down the road. The other two quickly made to follow him. "I warrant that cart must be heading to an inn or tavern somewhere down there. If we can keep a good pace, we should be there by nightfall." Happy as they were at the thought of a hot meal, they soon found they could not keep a strong walking pace, stopping several times to rest their aching muscles and redress their wounds. It was well past nightfall by the time they arrived at the outskirts of the town, and there was little sound coming from inside the high walls. The huge gates were propped open, and a large sign beside them declared the town to be Lingen. Through the gates, they could see a long cobbled street. A smell of freshly caught fish and salty air was coming up to greet them. Some way ahead, they could make out the flickering torches of an inn. The three stumbled forwards, happy to have found an end to their journey.
Tales of Mithrym are written by Jimmy Clephane. Mithrym is a fantasy world built for the Dungeon Room role-playing game system. To find out more about the world of Mithrym, or to try out the game, go to www